Thanks, Jess. Hi, this is Jesse Bradley, and this is obviously Storytime with Jesse Bradley. Each and every month, I improvise a what I believe to be true story because memory is a little bit fallible, but it's what I believe to be true based on my own life. A couple of things I usually bring up front. There are potentially sensitive subjects that I delve into during this. I have no idea where I go because I don't plan this. So just content warning overall, apologies in advance. Second, any and all names mentioned and occasionally places are changed to just protect the identities of those that I talk about whenever I do this. So to get started, I've been doing things a little bit differently for this go around. And let me make sure I am sharing my screen, the correct screen. They're not that one. Oh, technical. There we go. Okay. So if I could have someone in the chat pick a number but 5, because we did 5 last month.
11.
11. We're going to do 11. Okay. So 11 it is. All right. So I'm going to do what I believe to be true story based on this attendance card that I drew on 11/11 of 2021. And here we go. It is October of this year, and I am standing in my kitchen, just getting something. I think our Chinese food just showed up. And all of a sudden I hear a very, very loud bang upstairs. And that's the kind of noise. It's not like something falling off of a table, like a remote, or maybe a glass, or maybe a box, or maybe a TV. It's something louder. And I immediately sprint up the stairs. And there is my fiance, Stat Cat. And she is down in the shower. And she is grabbing her left arm. And she's like, I just slipped in the shower. I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. I'm perfectly okay. So before she took a shower, she was in the bath with a bath bomb, and she's actually on call this day. So my fiance is an OBGYN, and there are days where she has to be on call to handle patients and deliver babies at all hours of the night. And she was just taking a bubble bath bomb just to like relax and warm up and just, have had a hard day. And then she was trying to rinse all of that off from the tub, and she fell. So I believe her. I'm thinking like, okay, she's fine. She's okay. And just start fixing my plate, sit in the living room. And she comes down and she's still grabbing her arm. She sits down on the couch. And I see her, I look over to her, and she's crying from the pain. And Stat Cat is one of the toughest human beings I've ever met. She's had endometriosis all of her life, and she's used to pain. Life is pain for her. And the fact that she is crying from the pain clearly tells me something is wrong. So I look over to her and I go, do we need to go to the emergency room? And she says, yes, but I can drive myself. And I'm immediately just taken aback by that, that she can drive herself, because she's just so afraid of me. And the reason why that she wants to be able to drive herself to the ER is she's afraid that I might get COVID, that we are still in the height of COVID here in Florida because we don't believe in science or vaccines for some bizarre reason. And I immediately look over to her and I go, you are fucking absolutely not driving to the ER with a broken arm. That is not happening. We are going to get our things. We're going to get what we need to get. And I'm going to drive you there and I'm going to stay there. And the hospital that we have to go to is the hospital that she is on call at. So she is actually supposed to be on call delivering babies at this hospital. And it gets a little bit hard to do that when you have busted up your arm something fierce, because I've never seen her cry like this. So I get in, I get her, we get some things, maybe pack a change of clothes just in case, because I'm thinking like, okay, maybe they might make her stay. We may have to do an overnight. Like, I'm thinking of all of these things. I'm thinking about let's get to the hospital. Let's get her checked out. Let's make sure that she's okay. I'm in total action mode in a crisis. So we get to the ER and we park and we get in there, and we check in, and she mentions that she normally delivers babies at the hospital, and obviously she's on call, so, and she might not be able to do her job tonight. And very rarely do I see StatCat pull the doctor card, because doctors go through their own unique hell to become doctors. They spend 4 years in med school and then 4 years in residency where they work 80 hours a week, sometimes doing like 16, 17-hour shifts to prepare them to take care of people in crisis situations when you've only had like 3 hours of sleep and you're hallucinating. And she's also an osteopath, so she's which is different from being a medical doctor, because they treat people, not as a thing to solve. And she's one of the most selfless people on earth. But we're in a crisis. She wants to get through this as fast as possible. So she drops the doctor card, and about 20 minutes later, we are taken into kind of an antechamber where a medical assistant asks her all of these particular questions, asks her what happened, and she leaves. And on the monitor, as we're waiting for what's next, the monitor is asked on the screensaver, have you taken a prayer break today? This particular hospital system is, they are a religious hospital system, and they believe in the power of prayer. And I know this for a fact because their version of pain management is praying and very weak Percocet from when I fractured my collarbone 9 years ago while trying to learn how to ride a moped. So I'm all familiar with this particular hospital system. And the medical system comes back, and we are brought back into a private room. So we're only about an hour in, and this is amazing. If you ever get hurt, be friends with a doctor, because it is just amazing how fast, like, the hospitals can move really fast if they want to. They can get you back really fast if they want to, typically when you're dying. I have just never, like, it's already amazing that this experience of getting back to the ER is like so quickly into a private room is all because of my fiance delivering babies at this hospital. And we're being taken care of very well. She gets very weak Percocet because, again, this is the power of prayer. This is the power, they believe in the power of prayer more than the power of painkillers. And I'm with her, just making sure that she's okay, that she's not thinking about it. And in her head, she's just thinking about, like, what am I going to tell my boss? How am I going to explain all of these things? Because I've busted my arm and this throws everything up. And she's going a million miles a minute. And I'm going, we just need to focus on this first. I know you have a lot going on. We have to focus on this first, me being the voice of reason. And she's eventually taken back to to get an x-ray done. And we're about like 2 hours in, like 2.5 hours in, and then another half hour passes. And the physician's assistant that sees her, strangely enough, is the same physician's assistant that has seen me several times. So of all times that this particular doctor, Dr. Roddy, I guess it's not Dr. Roddy because it's the PA Roddy. I've been to a different hospital for different reasons to the ER because of my GERD and my stomach issues. And somehow we draw him and he is at our hospital tonight. And I'm like, okay, this is a good sign. This is such a great sign that she's got the same PA that I've had in my weird crisis situations. The last time I saw him was when I was with my ex-wife and I was thinking I might have appendicitis. I was in that breaking point where I was thinking about staying with my ex-wife, but decided that I was better off alone with her, without her than alone with her. And it just turned out that I was just really badly constipated. So already, like, this is a good sign that things are going to kind of work out because I got the same PA where he has like basically like, nope, you just have something minor wrong with you. Go home. And he goes, okay, we looked at the x-ray. You just have a lot of swelling. Ice it, rest it, go home. And we do. We go home, and she can't really like do a lot with patients because you kind of need both hands to do various procedures. And pain isn't exactly like, it's not exactly going away. It still hurts really bad. She's still like in a splint. And like, we're both hoping that the swelling goes down. Like, she is panicked that she is not going to be able to do her job. She loves her job as an OBGYN. This is something that she's been wanting to do ever since she had endometriosis treatment with a doctor who specialized in it. And that inspired her to become an OBGYN. She's the kind of doctor that you want to have in your corner. And she's so panicked about like not being able to do her job, not being able to like service patients and take care of them because she can't move her hand. And I'm keeping reminding her that we need to stay in the present, like one day at a time. And we find a specialist who specializes in hand surgeries. It in fact is the same surgeon that fixed Jimmy Fallon's hand when he broke it down here in Orlando. And she gets an MRI done, and I go with her. This is important that I'm there with her. She also should not be driving at this point. And I'm like, I'm not going to let you drive until the doctor says that you can drive. And the doctor comes back, the specialist come back, and he says that, Dr. Statcat, you just have a very, very minor fracture in your hand. We're going to put you in a cast. We're going to evaluate you every couple of weeks just to see how you do. And then, everything should be fine. We'll go do occupational therapy, make sure that you can keep doing this, and everything should be fine. And it's a wave of relief at this point that, like, I'm relieved that it's only this. It's only a minor break. It's only just something that can be healed with time and patience and therapy. And I know like that the 6 weeks are going to fly by, but I also know to Statcat that she's always thinking about the worst possible situations, that she won't be able to operate. She won't be able to do C-sections. She won't be able to pull babies out. She won't be able to do any of these things. And usually I'm that person in a situation where I think of the worst possible thing. And if it doesn't happen, then it's cool. It's great. But if it happens, I have girded myself. And I can't be like that in this situation because I'm the optimist. I've been more of an optimist in this relationship than I've ever been in any of my other relationships. So her arm eventually heals. and she's able to do surgery, but then she has like these weird like rashes that are breaking out on where the arm broke. And she sees her doctor, primary care. And her primary care goes, I think you may have rheumatoid arthritis based on this. And I know where her head's at immediately is like, we need to do more tests, that she needs more tests. And I know where her head's at is like, how is this going to impact me like 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, 20 years down the line? And I'm just thinking, we don't know. Like, we don't know what's happened yet. We have no idea what this really is. Like, we need to make sure that this is actually a thing. And again, I'm not thinking about like what it could be like 10 years down the line, and she's having to take drugs to help with the rheumatoid arthritis, with quality of life, what that life is going to be like. I'm just thinking about just in the moment, like, we need to like make sure that this is real, that this is actually a thing, and then we will deal with it. And I think I know that's the thing about like, about relationships. And I know I have said this before, but a relationship is not defined based on the good moments. It's based on how you handle the shit moments, the worst moments, the things that can potentially break you as a couple and as people. And I have been in these situations where like a miscarriage could make and break a relationship, a really bad a death in the family, a close death. Just, there's lots of horrible things that can make or break a relationship. And this isn't our first crisis either. Like, we have had COVID, like, and we both thought that things were going to be really bad, and we were so lucky to be asymptomatic that whole time when we were apart. And ironically, COVID brought us closer together because it both made us realize that what's the point of life without each other, in terms of just, why are we living apart? And that's all I'm thinking about in this moment, is I'm thinking about her, and if they want to make sure that she's okay, and that I know she's going to be okay, that here I am, I'm being the optimist, being that optimist. I never expected to be the optimist in this relationship. So she goes to a rheumatologist, gets a whole bunch of blood drawn. And I've been through this too. When I was drinking very heavily during my first marriage, to the point where I got gout in my left knee consistently. There was actually there was a part when I was going through my stuff that he wanted to try to stick a needle in me to draw fluid, and he tried and freaked me out, and it just didn't work out. And we never came to a conclusion about whether I had gout. It eventually went away because I stopped drinking a lot of beer. So she gets all of this blood work done, and we wait. And I'm going, everything is going to be okay. And if it's not okay, then we're going to deal with it, like we do. And we wait. And it's always the waiting that's the worst part of not knowing, of that space of anxiety, that waiting for something to happen. And a couple of weeks ago, she finally gets the results, and it turns out that it was just like a weird anomaly that happened, where her original blood work showed that she may have had arthritis. It was just a rheumatoid arthritis. It was just some sort of inflammation that caused her blood to spike. And very rarely do you get good news in health and in medicine, that when there is that potential diagnosis that's going to change your life, changes your life in a very bad way. And this time, this time it was some good news. And I'm so glad that I get to be there for her for those good days and those really bad fucking days. Thanks.